All right, we're live.
Hi guys, welcome to Puckin Awesome. I am Ari, at Ari_raid on Reddit and Twitter. And we are your hockey podcast devoted to 75% hockey and soccer and tennis in the meanwhile. With us tonight we have Aisha.
Hi, I'm Aisha, the resident Bruins fan / crier.
We have Lorzad.
Hi, I'm Cora. And you always laugh. Why? And I'm the Leafs fan, but everybody laughs. Why don't we laugh at Cassie? Because she's the one who has to deal with depressing Sabres. I mean, I know my team is depressing, but let's laugh at Cassie. So ha ha ha, Cassie.
Yeah, I love you.
At least my management's helping.
I've
got that going for me.
On the podcast, we have a Bruins fan, a Blackhawks fan, a Sabres fan, and a Leafs fan. And the most contentious rivalry is between the Leafs fan and the Sabres fan.
No, every time I say who I cheer for, you guys laugh. And I feel very depressed. Well, thank you.
I'm really sorry.
Quite funny, too.
It's just the Leafs are just a joke that just never stops giving.
Hey, I have the Phil, so if you're American, what's more American than the Phil on the Leafs? That's actually not very American, but, keeps me...
You also have JVR. JVR is pretty American.
Yes.
No, I contend Phil is pretty American. He does not look like an athlete, but somehow is.
Pretty
and
American.
He likes cookies, and after in the Winter Classic, he went back and he asked if they had hot cocoa, so...
Did he really? That's terrible.
Yes, it was in the 24/7.
Yet.
Oh, Phil, how I love thee. Let me count the ways. 1 goal, 2 goal, 3 goal.
Because I remember that, and it was the funniest part. He's like, do we get any hot chocolate as they're walking back?
By the way, so right before we get started, those of you who are listening in may remember that last week, Aisha and I made a bet about whether Ryan Miller would go to Vancouver or not. Ryan Miller did indeed sign in Vancouver, which we will discuss shortly. Which means I won the bet. And so the bet was over our Twitter names. So I can now make Aisha's name on Twitter whatever I want for a week. If you have suggestions, please at our hockeycast and at Ari_raid. I will choose from either among the selections, or if you guys suck, I'll make up my own. But we have a real opportunity here, so let's do this.
All right.
On that note, I guess we should get started with free agency.
Okay. What was the most shocking, cheap contract for you guys?
Cheap?
Yes. Who surprised you by taking a cheap contract?
Fucking Brad Richards, man.
Cheap, but whatever. Well, let me see, between the 1 million, something thousand.
Well, I was thinking, Ehrhoff.
Yeah, Ehrhoff took a very cheap contract.
1 year, $4 million.
Brad Richards took $2 million 1 year to sign in Chicago, which he wasn't going to get crazy paid because he's kind of stuck in New York, but that's still not very much for Brad fucking Richards.
No.
Can I just laugh over something that both the teams I follow did? So they traded Gleason to Toronto because Toronto needs a stay-at-home defenseman, and Toronto wants to get rid of their puck-moving defenseman, who they were paying a really large salary to, and Gleason also had a very large salary. So when they moved him there, people kind of liked him. Grapes talked about him on his little thingy, and then they bought him out, and then the Hurricanes signed him again to another contract at what, 1.2 million for a year. So he also has the buyout money and then the contract on top. Can I just say, both teams, what are you doing? And I think Lyles is staying. It's like...
I don't know. I wish I could answer that question for you.
So,
I mean, I think the answer is that...
He won. I don't know if that's a cheap contract, but he won.
Yeah. I just don't know, Toronto. I just don't know.
Hey, at least it's not Vancouver. Sometimes I don't even know if they I don't know what they're doing. I'm surprised Miller signed there.
Well, let's see how long he stays there for.
And then Markstrom requested a trade, so...
And then their GM said that he didn't.
So, in case you were keeping track, Yesterday it was 0 days since Vancouver had a goalie incident, and today it is also 0 days since Vancouver had a goalie incident. Good job, Vancouver. Bring those zeros together, just like your Stanley Cup.
Well,
Yes.
I have to say this about Vancouver. I know my team is fucked up. I accepted it. I've accepted it for a long time. I don't know if the fans of Vancouver realize that their management is also kind of fucked up.
It's all of Canada, let's be real. All of Canada does, like, management sucks.
Montreal is doing pretty good.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd want to stay there.
Leaching made 7.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, I will say about Montreal, that Danny Briere trade with Colorado was I love Danny Briere more than probably anyone at this point, and that was a goddamn steal.
Yeah,
I
but
also like the fact that we got Georges from Montreal for a second-round pick that wasn't even ours.
when you want 7 situation, which you might be paid the top 5 players of all time, because it's looking like that.
Well, I mean, he's an incredible defenseman. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the Josh Georges trade, Cora, what do you think about that?
Oh, you mean how he said he didn't want to play in Toronto?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it kind of makes me feel a little proud.
Well, his reasoning was really, really good. And in case people didn't know, his reason for not wanting to go to waive to go to Toronto is he views them too much of a rival to Montreal that he can't commit himself to play for them.
You know what that really says to me? Because I'm more of a player person than I am a team person. You know?
Yeah.
It's amazing the team I cheer for. Why I'm like that. But, I think that's really cool. Because, all these kids grow up hockey fans first. I mean, hockey, before they even make it to the NHL, and they have their team that they cheer for. But I think it's really cool because even though he's a player, he's, like, really gone into that team mindset and, like, just being a hockey fan and a hockey player at the same time. So I actually think it's kind of cool. And, it's kind of like I wear it with pride. So,
yeah. I do think it's really cool when people feel really passionate about team and team allegiances. PK Subban, every time he talks about Montreal, it looks like you can tell it's a dream come true. And the same with Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene, and if you guys haven't seen this video, it's really great. At Matt Duchene's draft, he cheers when he doesn't get picked 2nd overall because he wanted to go 3rd overall to Colorado. And that's so cool, regardless of my feelings about Colorado.
Well, just like Buffalo signed Gianta, and it was kind of cool when they introduced him to the media and stuff in Buffalo. He sat there and he said that, this is my team. I, grew up following. This is my hometown team, and this is like a dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear stuff like that, that's like, aww. But
meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, like that guy who was drafted to Vancouver, who was like, yeah, I get someone playing in Vancouver now. That's also hilarious, but in a less sort of heart-melting way. It's a hilarious way.
yeah.
So we have a couple of questions on the topic of free agency. One of which is, who was your least favorite free agency signing?
Oh god, that Niskanen contract is so bad.
Is it really worth the Orpik contract, though?
They're both bad.
You know what it is? I don't know if any of you have seen Cabaret. If you should, it's a great film about the rise of Nazi Germany. But there's this good song in it called "Money, Money." Money Makes the World Go Around, where the MC and Liza Minnelli perform it. And I feel like Orpik and Niskanen are both like singing in caps here, going "Money, money, money, money." Because I mean, I don't know. I really don't see. I can see the Caps making the playoffs, but I don't really see. It's such a bad contract. They're both bad contracts.
Yeah, well, Orpik's getting 5.5 for the next 5 years.
More than crazy.
Niskanen is going to get 5.75 for the next 7 years. He has only had one statistically good year.
So, do you GM for the Caps again?
I don't know. It's at a certain point, I just feel bad for Ovechkin. Like, dude gave up a lot of money in Russia to stay with the Caps. Doesn't want to play for anyone but the Caps. And the Caps just, like, I don't know. It just can't put it together.
I just think, I don't know what it is about DC, but I think DC is just a bad sports town. And I know it really doesn't have anything to do with the Caps in general, but it's just kind of like this aura that DC has around it, with all the crap that goes on within the district, permeates into the Verizon Center and talk to their team. All that bad juju.
Yeah, those are really bad contracts, and I think Iginla's contract in Colorado is also kind of bad.
I was also just about to say Iginla.
He's not fast.
He's not, but he still scored 40 goals for us. And
Right, but Colorado is a fast team.
Yeah.
The Bruins were the perfect team for Iginla because they had guys who could have the possession, get the puck to Iginla. And Iginla is still an elite finisher as a player, but his possession numbers go down every year. He's not as fast as he used to be. He needs help. And Colorado is a terrible possession team as they were and got worse. Getting rid of P.A. Parento, getting rid of Paul Stastny, maybe still losing Ryan O'Reilly. There's not going to be people to get the puck to Iginla. And also, it's a contract for 3 years. Dude is old.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I looked at his contract, and then all the rumors about him taking a discount for Bruins. I'm like, it wouldn't have happened if I looked at his contract.
Yeah. It's not. Some of these contracts got handed out were pretty good. In the scheme of things, I'm very happy with what my team did. And the first, I have to say this, Buffalo actually had UFAs come willingly. We haven't had that ever.
I'm extremely disappointed that Buffalo did not acquire Chris Versteeg.
I'm sorry.
Now we're going to have to give him to the Flames or maybe back to Florida. I just don't know.
But I'm kind of happy that we hit the floor without taking on terrible contracts. We did hand out one iffy contract of our own, but it's only for a year, so it's not like it's the end of the world. And the only long-term deal we handed out was to Matt Molson, who came back after we traded him away.
That's a really great endorsement for the organization, actually.
But at the same time, it's because Islanders didn't really, Snow never called him back.
He was Molson said some of his comments were when he first got traded to Buffalo, Pagula and his family reached out to him, and I guess that stuck with him. It made him want to come back. So it was kind of cool.
Yes.
We have more questions
Okay,
about free agency. I'm sticking to free agency questions at the moment.
that's fine.
So at Peak of Good Living asked a really good question, I think, which is, what are the best and worst towns to attract free agents to?
Worst town would be Toronto.
Toronto's got to be having some issues.
Well, you think that there are some guys who want that spotlight and who want what Toronto can give them. David Clarkson being an obvious guy who chose Toronto. I think that there's probably not a worse town than Winnipeg.
Did any of you watch the 24/7?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that Kadri thing where he's driving in his Audi to the game,
Yeah.
and he talks about how meaningful it is for him. I can see reasons like that. It'd be a big deal to first season to put on the sweater, because it's almost like it's really just kind of coming home, and it's. But I can see I would think any of the Canadian teams would be really hard to come in. Because, I know, Toronto itself and that whole Reimer thing did not look good at all, but all of them. To the Winnipeg, you've got their people criticizing Ladd for going out of game because his wife had a baby. You got Vancouver and all their freaking issues. You have Edmonton, who just is a clusterfuck. And then you have Calgary, which, again, I would think Montreal, again, the same thing with Toronto. I just think it would be totally hard because of the press and everything. But Calgary, who I would see the most easiest to get in, I would feel, the nicest place to be, but still you have that spotlight.
And then Ottawa, your owner's not going to pay
Oh,
you.
yeah, totally forgot Ottawa.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
mean,
that goes back to those comments about all these players when they have no trade clauses and they can make lists, and all of them are putting Canada down.
I
Like they
think
don't want to be
really,
there.
I think the problem for most players isn't the spotlight, with the exception of maybe Toronto and Montreal. I think the reason is those teams fucking suck, except for Montreal, which is another issue entirely. But if I were a player, I'd go to Montreal. You get to play in front of fucking Carey Price with PK Subban. They've got a pretty electrifying young core: Galchenyuk, Gallagher, etc. Desharnais.
I would rather play for Arizona than Montreal.
Rivals.
Bruins fan. So then, if those are the worst towns to go to, oh, speaking of which, Arizona's a terrible town to go to. No one should ever go to Arizona as a free agent. Fuck you, Coyotes.
Would you say the best town to go to for a free agent has to be Tampa? Because you could have a house on the water, you have sunshine.
We have it at Miami or wherever the hell that is.
Sunrise.
Sunrise? But it's,
But the
I don't
team
know.
sucks.
But at least in Tampa, the fans care a lot more.
I mean, there are definitely passionate Panthers fans, but the team does suck.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a homer. I'd say Chicago is the best city to come to.
No.
You live in... Shut up.
I love you right now. I can say no.
You live in an incredible sports town. People are really passionate about their sports and follow you. But, hockey is not the number one sport in the city, so the press coverage and the pressure is less. Arguably, we are one of the top two teams in the NHL right now. Some people would say the best. Some people would say second behind the Kings.
Okay.
You've got, get to win 2 Stanley Cups in 4 years. Get on my level.
Okay, whatever.
You've got a chance every year of competing, and Chicago is an incredible city. Winter's not horrible, especially for you guys who grew up in Canada.
Negative 20.
It's really, really beautiful. You can live on the water. Everyone should move to Chicago and live there forever.
No. Don't move to Chicago.
I think Minnesota could actually attract some people too. Cost of living's like a lot lower. Schools are nice. The state like soaks in hockey. It's their blood. So it's a great environment, and the media is not that bad.
Actually, people tend to like Raleigh, which I don't understand because I went to high school there. But I mean, like Aaron Ward keeps a house down there. It must be because the beach is really close, and the golf courses are really close too. But that's a whole other thing in the mountains. But I know Skinner, the player. He was the kid has his own like One Direction fan base that shows up at all the games. But I know he said one time he really likes, because he is loved by pretty much any high school that knows anything about local sports in the area, that he can go out and not be bothered. Which I think, I would think that would also, wouldn't say not about Canada, but is also a big thing, I would think, like for Spezza, going from like, you don't want to stay in Canada, or what was the other one, Kesler? From going to get their groceries to get diapers for their kid, at 11 o'clock at night or something. I think that would just kind of be a nice change, especially if you've gone through it for years.
Can I be a homer right now and say Boston would be a great place to be because the fans are passionate, and then the team situation is even better because if anyone read Chara's piece about how he captains the team and how he makes sure no one feels like an outsider and no one is getting hazed and everyone's part of a tight-knit family and no one feels like they're left out. And then I feel like that'd be a great welcoming situation for anyone.
I did read that piece, actually, and I read it and thought, you fucking hypocrite. Because Boston has given away 2 incredible players in the past few years, in Phil Kessel and Tyler Seguin, for basically personality issues, according to management.
It's not even personality issues. Mind you, everyone messes this up. It wasn't only personality issues. He didn't play our playing style. He didn't play the way we play. He is more skillful. We're not a very skillful team. We're
What
more
the fuck are you talking about? The Bruins aren't a skillful team?
No, but we don't play his style. He never checked at all. I was this huge critic of him. He never fit into the system. We put him on every fucking line, and he didn't mesh well with any of the players.
Oh my god, if you made checking illegal right now, Boston would still be a really good team next year.
I know, but that's our style. You're not getting what I'm saying. Is our playing style he never meshed well with. He never meshed well with any of the lines we made. He just didn't care. And I have seen him out in Boston, and he didn't give a fuck about going to practice, playing, or anything. He just loved Boston because of the fact that everyone was wild. And he had all these Boston University biddies on his dick.
All right. I disagree with everything you just said, but let's move on. I don't think there's any point in going down that road.
Yeah.
Other questions about free agency?
Oh, and I just want to clarify for people who are listening and wondering why I'm not defending Buffalo. I haven't been there since I was 6. So I can't defend someplace I don't live. But I'm happy we have people that came there. So, yeah, yes, at the floor. All right, let's go on.
Let's see, free agency. We already did worst. We did best. A question was, would you offer sheet PK Subban if you were a GM?
No.
Why not?
Because my team is in a rebuild and we've stockpiled all those picks for a reason. Blowing them on one player would be not worth it.
I just don't think that would work out for Boston if we got 7.
Yeah, is this if you were a GM or if you were your team's GM?
Do if you were your team's GM.
No.
I would laugh.
I can imagine like the outrage, like Montreal fans just attacking and like setting fire to the Garden. No.
Hey,
I'd say
want to come home and play?
I would
give
not
you
offer
lots of
sheet
money.
Subban, in part because the incredible cost, and like my team doesn't need that, but also offer seating players doesn't usually go well in terms of your relationship with other general managers. So even if you get PK, in the long run, is that worth it? Brian Burke offered to fight someone who offer sheeted one of his players in a barn in Lake Placid, and I really don't want to fight Brian Burke in a barn in Lake Placid.
Yeah, I just don't.
Not that Calgary has anyone to offer sheet.
We have 3 first-round picks for next year. I kind of like to keep those.
I think it's freaking hilarious how Buffalo has ended up with 3 first-round picks next year in the deepest draft. And, I mean, it's not great for as a Leafs fan, but I think it's great for your team. But I think it's really stupid of everybody else who's trading with you. You just like invent. You're like the people at the Monopoly game who's like created all those places, those real estates, and then all of a sudden put a bunch of hotels all at once and be like rolling in the dough.
Yeah, we also have 2 in the second round.
And to make this a little bit to our basketball cast, it's similar to the situation that Boston Celtics and Orlando Magic is having in the draft for next year. They're acquiring so many first-round picks for next year's draft that it's literally, I think, 3 or 4 per team.
Yeah, and I think that the thing about our picks is the funniest is I don't see the Islanders being immensely better than they were last year. So if something happens and they shit the bed again, there's a chance that we can get both McDavid and Eichel.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
But we could do that.
You can afford Kane.
I will really laugh if Buffalo doesn't get number 1 pick.
I'll laugh too.
I mean, they'll have tons of first-round picks to really make up the fact, but I will really laugh. And if it's someone who came like 4th place.
Now the lowest we can drop is 2. It's still, so we could still get Eichel, which is a pretty damn good consolation prize.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Would it be smarter to be the second worst team
Yes.
instead of the worst? Because if you think about it, the last couple of drafts, it's always been going to the second worst team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just have to make sure Panthers keep on sucking.
Panthers might be good. Panthers made some big splashes in free agency. Or
Because they're trying to hit
better.
the floor. They have yet to hit the floor, that's why.
We had to get to the floor too, but we weren't stupid about it.
Yeah, actually, Buffalo did a very good job. But if you guys are ready to move on from free agency, can I move to other questions?
Sure.
So one question, speaking of Patrick Kane, is there has been some discussion on Twitter, mostly targeted at me and Shane, about offer sheeting Jonathan Toews to Nashville. And so Shane asked us, What would be a fair return from Taves in a trade to Nashville, with us as the hypothetical Chicago GM? So what do you guys think?
Weber? You'd have to be getting Weber in return.
Yeah, Weber and like Seth Jones also.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, okay, so theoretically, in a trade that Chicago lost, I would say Seth Jones, next year's first, and some forward.
You have forwards?
They do have forwards. They're not very good, but they have some. We'll say James Neal, although I hate myself. That would be a trade that I think Chicago loses for Jonathan Taves. So in order to win a trade, you've got to have Shea Weber plus someone.
Yeah.
Chris also tweeted, Ari is not as truculent as Brian Burke. Couldn't take him in a barn fight. And I would never, ever pretend to even be on Brian Burke's level. He is the... If I am the Jesus of truculence, he is God. I can only one day aspire to have Brian Burke return my phone calls. So I just thought I'd defend myself momentarily.
Okay.
Just get hair tips.
Yeah, I wish my hair was as good as Brian Burke. It's just not even close.
You
to
wish
on
you
that
looked
level.
like Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish that someone would burn all of my hairbrushes.
Sega Dreamcast lives on.
On a topic we discussed a little bit last week, but we should probably recap. Matt asked, what is the best part of the NHL draft? I think the best part of the NHL draft was Philadelphia booing everyone, always.
Oh, God.
The best part of the draft was seeing all the picks that, all the prospects that Bruins got that we'll never see again.
My favorite part was Tim Murray's no thanking Philadelphia, no congratulating the Kings, just the Buffalo Sabres select Sam Reinhart. Done. That's it.
Can I be really cheesy and say the parents?
Oh.
Aww.
I mean, because like the moms cry and then the dads look so proud and the kids are really happy, but you can see like the kid's dream was also their parents' dream. And you never see like a bad reaction from the parents. And it's like, you know, they're the ones who sat through all the hockey practices and whatever and drove them to all the tournaments. I just think it's cool.
No,
So
I think you're right.
there's my cheesy thing of the day.
I think that's adorable.
I always look when they announce it, I always look at the families.
That's good. I like that one.
That's adorable.
All right. So what other questions do we have?
We have lots more questions, although, Cassie, I should ask you, are there any our HockeyCast questions that have not been tweeted at me? Because we should check that as well.
I have one.
Okay.
It was, which GM has made the best move so far this offseason?
Not Dale Talon.
Ray Shero.
Yeah, he's been okay, actually.
Yeah, totally made the best
Non-existent.
move.
I think that, well, Homer picked, so I won't say this is the best, but I will say I have been impressed with Stan Bowman. Bullock to Calgary was just the work of a fucking god of hockey trade. I've been impressed with Anaheim, actually. They've been pretty good.
Well, except I think they were the ones who gave Clayton Stoner that ridiculous contract for him.
Oh, did they? I was just really impressed with the Kessler trade.
Yeah, the Kessler trade's great. They balanced it out, though, with their own issues here. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Other questions. Oh, this is a good question from Josh. What players can you now love because they moved off a certain team, and who do you have to hate?
I don't think any of my hatreds or love changed. I mean, it's easier to love Vanek now that he's in the same state, and I get to see him more often, but that was going to happen no matter what.
I mean, for me, I'm pretty passionate about the Danny Briere trade because I hate Colorado. Um, but I guess on another note, I really wanted to like Paul Stastny. I wanted to, and then he went from the Avalanche to the fucking Blues. So I guess I don't get to like Paul Stastny.
I don't really know, but it seems like a lot of Leaf players move to the Canes. As it
out.
always happens. So, I don't really know. I mean, I don't really hate players. There's very few players that I, like, will despise if they move to a certain team. I still like, even though it pains me, I like Subban and I like Price.
That's big of you.
Yes.
Well, I am a considerate and kind person, Ari. You should know this.
Yes.
I
And,
do know.
I hate them both. I hate that whole team. I hate everyone.
it was Anaheim that signed Clayton Stoner to a 3.25 per year contract for 4 years.
That's pretty horrible. That is. I stand corrected. Although I'm still impressed by the Kessler deal.
Yeah. But yeah, that's not a good contract.
Yeah, Pittsburgh getting Ehrhoff for that deal is pretty good.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I will give worst contract award. Actually, should we give a worst contract award? I would like to give the worst contract award to the bull in the contract.
Well, the fact that the thing is because they need to hit the floor. They can't really.
Okay, that's not why he gave them that much money, though.
I know, but on the other side, I understand they're trying to hit the floor, so they're gonna outrageously do contracts. But it's still a bad contract. But I see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, but we had to hit the floor as well, and we did it without going stupid. I want to give it to Washington for Orpik and Niskanen signings.
2 for 1.
Yeah, that was. Ugh. It's just bad.
Other questions? We can transition to our next topic, or we can do more questions. What do you guys want?
Yeah, we can go into contract or more questions.
Okay. Another one of our questions is who is going to be, this is from Matt, who is going to be more #winning than Charlie Sheen next season? Which I think is our way of his way of asking for our predictions for who's going to be top of the NHL.
Kings.
The Kings always underperform in the regular season, though.
I know, but they kept that team together. Like
because they drink tiger blood during the playoffs.
Yeah, they do drink tiger blood during the playoffs.
Fair enough.
I'll go with St. Louis just to lose in the first round again.
I have to say what Chris just said. If you need to hit floor, you give 1-year deals, not 5.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's what we did. We give 1 year, 1 crappy contract, and we were fine.
I don't, I always feel like if I have to do this, I have to invoke some voodoo magic to even feel. Because every time I think that one team's going to finish first, it never does. So, I don't know. If I put on my voodoo hat, I'm going to say it's going to be a Western Conference team.
Yes.
That's as much, and it's going to be in the Central Division.
Jinx them. I want them to suffer.
So I have a 25% chance. Is that getting it right?
I will say, I think it might be an East Coast team just on the basis of they play easier teams more.
That is true. I always think that.
You can't really say that when you have the Pacific Division. Outside of the California teams, do you really have any competition?
Yeah, you play the Central all the time, and the Central Division is hell.
I know, but
I just think they're going to explode.
Division is the weakest one.
Also, I think Vancouver is not going to be as bad as they were last year. I don't think Vancouver is going to be like the Vancouver of the President's Trophy years. But Vancouver made some pretty good moves.
So they're either going to barely squeak into the playoffs or barely miss them.
Yeah, I'd put them about where I had Phoenix, about where Phoenix ended up last year.
Yeah.
Phoenix got worse, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phoenix.
I might just become a West Coast Stars fan.
Yeah, the Stars are awesome now. That such bullshit.
Oh please! How many cups have you won in the last 4 years?
2.
So I mean,
That was nice.
I'm not listening to you and your nice and lovely, existence. At least I have the
Yeah. You do have the fill. You always have the fill. On the topic of the Stanley Cup final, Josh asked us, will Tampa eventually acquire the entire Rangers roster?
Yes.
If they try hard enough.
I'm going to say, good try, Josh, but you're never getting Matt Zuccarello.
Come on, The Hobbit. We need a Hobbit, and The Hobbit would be perfect for us.
What do you mean we?
I'm a half of a Lightning fan. I'm a season ticket holder now.
Okay.
How's that possible?
Orlando. I live in Florida for school year.
Okay. Lucky you.
You can have Brad Richards once we're done winning a cup with him. So, that's my gift to you, Josh, as a Blackhawks fan. Speaking of as a Blackhawks fan, we should talk about the Kane and Taves contracts, because that's all anyone wants to talk to me about these days. So, in case you guys didn't see, the newest rumor coming out of Chicago radio is that a deal has been agreed on for $10.8 million per year. There's no word on length, but one would expect 7 or 8 years. So, what do you guys think about that? It's not confirmed. If it turns out to be lower than that or higher than that, don't come to me and be like, "All right, you fucking lied to me." That's just the most recent rumor. But what do you guys think?
Cap space exists, so good luck with that.
Remember we said last week there is no cap.
No, they do exist. So good luck with that.
The cap is $300 billion. Yeah, it would be like 30% of our cap space, assuming a minor increase next year. Assuming a more major increase, we've got a little bit more space.
But I have a question. You guys are $2 million over the cap space right now, without any LTRs.
Yes.
So, should we have a wager of if they get traded or not?
Well, they're not trading Kane or Taves. They're going to trade someone. They'll probably trade either Johnny or...
Bruins?
Sorry?
Hosa to the Bruins?
They're not trading Hosa. Shut the hell up. You can't have him. He's mine.
He's the only player I like on your damn team, and I need him to be a Bruin.
You absolutely... No, actually, also the Bruins don't have any fucking cap space either, so...
We have $1 million. That's a lot more than you guys have.
Anyways, we're definitely going to trade a player. I have the sneaking suspicion it's going to be Johnny Oduya. We would like to offload Chris Versteeg, but finding a market for a player that obviously sucks can be difficult. Although we just gave one to Calgary for a draft pick, so whatever. There have been rumors about Patrick Sharp. I don't believe them. There have been rumors about Brent Seabrook. I have doubts about that because the return would probably not be good enough. We're definitely not trading Nick Leddy. Stop telling me we're trading Nick Leddy. It's not happening. It'd be selling low on a tremendous player. So
Hosa then.
No, we're not trading. Also, Marian Hossa has a no movement contract or a no trade clause, and he's definitely not going to the fucking Bruins. He doesn't want to play with Zdeno Chara. They had the national team together. They sucked. So.
Okay,
sorry.
fine.
Hossa does not have a no move.
Are you sure? I think he does.
According to CapGeek, he does not.
Okay. Well, they're still not trading him.
So Patrick Kane to the Buffalo then? Because that's the only thing that's gonna happen.
No,
Yeah,
they're gonna find a way
Buffalo
to
has
keep them
plenty
together.
of space for Kane. And his numbers available.
And I will be like lusting after him without any guilt.
No, he's not going to Buffalo. The Chicago Blackhawks annual convention, which is a huge deal in Chicago, begins on July 18th. We can expect the contract to be announced on the 18th, and we can also expect that any trades that will happen, any major trades, will happen before the 18th as well. So it'll be an interesting week to watch the Blackhawks.
I can say this. If Taves and Kane are broken up while we're still doing this podcast this summer, I will chug Jaeger on this podcast because I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
Right.
I will make a bet about Taves and Kane not being split up if you want, Aisha.
Again,
And I'll turn it on the
another
video so you can see it.
Let's do it. What are we going to do the wager on?
If Taves and Kane get split up, I will change my profile picture to a picture of Aisha's choosing for a month.
Okay, deal.
Okay, wait, so if they don't get split up, what are you giving up?
Same thing what you just said.
For a month? Awesome. I'm sorry.
And this is how I got my followers is from my profile picture, so this is going to be fun.
Okay. Well, guys, start sending in your profile picture suggestions now. And if we want to take some more questions, we can move on to that. I'm ready for this.
Can we
By
do
the
the
way,
bad dates, please?
Can we do what?
The bad dates.
Oh, we'll get to that in 1 second. We'll take a few more questions first. Actually, how much
Oh,
time do we
Lord.
have?
We have about 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah, let's take a couple more questions. By the way, if you haven't sent in your recommendation for what Aisha needs to change her Twitter name to, send them in now. You can have a whole week of this glory, so don't fuck it up, Twitter.
It literally
Okay.
can be anything. No limits, no holdbacks, anything.
Yeah,
This could get bad quickly.
or
Alright,
it could get amazing quickly.
so this one is, how do you feel about the Richards injury? But I'm pretty sure they talk about, they're referring to Mike Fisher.
They are referring to Mike Fisher.
And is it glorious karma, or do you separate the player from his politics?
Is anybody really that surprised? I mean, I'm not that surprised.
I mean, I will say this one thing that I don't think people have talked about much yet. It was a, quote, training injury. The last time we had a suspicious off-season injury was, well, the last time that I recall brightly in my recollection was Claude Giroux's quote-unquote golfing injury. Do you think Mike Fisher just, like, fell off, like, sofa or something and hurt his ankle?
Or had, like, rough sex with Carrie Underwood.
I don't. Well, that could end in a ruptured Achilles.
I don't know. I'm just, like, at, like, some love dungeon or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but if he did it that way, that must have been fun. Up until the injury point. Up until he was injured, but
As far as the Carmel thing, yeah.
seriously, why is it karma? I mean, the dude has really made no. If you've looked at his Twitter account or anything, you pretty much know how religious he is. I mean, I don't think there's like even a description. It's just like a Bible quote, and which I'm not saying that's not usually, but there are just history that you've seen, like the history that they put in People magazine. Yes, I read it. Don't judge me. But I'm really not that surprised anymore. Like, because I mean, we do know that, you know, unlike I would say the other sports, you know, a lot of hockey players, especially if they're from Canada, come from, you know, rural areas, and that tends to be more conservative as well. So I mean, I'm just not that surprised. But he's not a citizen, so really, I mean, what does it matter?
He's from Peterborough, so that's kind of a decent-sized area. But, you know, to each their own.
It's a little frustrating always. I feel pretty strongly about this kind of stuff. Just annoying, but not overly surprising. I guess that's true. You know, you never wish for a player to be injured, I should say. But there were some pretty great jokes on Twitter after the injury. One of my favorite of which was something along the lines of, you know, I wonder, Nationals management calling him and saying, well, unfortunately, Mr. Fisher, we found a way to have a loophole to not pay for your ankle surgery. So, good luck. But, no, I don't know. It's not like
The
something
only injury I would ever wish on a player would be like to get like a paper cut between their fingers, or like step on Legos, or diarrhea.
Or bumps that are funny bone.
While slicing up oranges.
Yeah.
Ugh. I found I had a paper cut when I was removing nail polish, and that was not fun.
Oof, that sounds not fun at all.
No.
I believe I was big sadness on Jeff Carter during the during the Kings playoff series. So big sadness is also what I will wish on Mike Fisher.
Yes.
Other question. Oh, we have a comment by the way from Shane about Cora's suggestion that she would chug Jaeger. And he says chugging Jaeger is not a bad thing. So,
Hey, I would do absinthe, but I don't think you can buy it here. It's not. Can you buy absinthe in the States?
yes, you
I
can.
tried absinthe before. That was in Czech Republic. It didn't turn out so well, so that's why I chose Jaeger. It was a nice thing I could get at the local alcohol beverage store.
Or just do moonshine just to make it more fun.
Actually, that I could probably find very easily. I just don't know who I'd ask. I am in the South, though. So.
Um,
Or Everclear.
I don't want her to die.
Gotta
At
make
least
it fun.
At least absinthe has a taste. It's a horrible licorice type taste, but it has a taste.
Everclear is just death and fire.
Well, since I finished my coffee, I am just drinking Bailey's straight up.
I'm just doing rum.
You saw how big that bottle was I had.
Cora, I love you so much.
Love you
do.
too, Lauren.
Let it be officially registered. You're the best.
All right, so here we go. Here's a question. Favorite or least favorite fancy stat, and what's with the anti-fancy stats group on our hockey and in the Leafs, and then make up a new one.
I was actually just going to go to that question. Good job.
Yes.
My favorite fancy stat, I'm a big fancy stats fan/proponent. My favorite fancy stat is PDO. PDO is the combination. It's very simple. You add up the on-ice shooting percentage of a certain player or a certain team and the save percentage that the player is getting while they're on the ice or that the team has, and combine them. And in the vast majority, over a long time span, so a season or two, PDO is going to average out to about 100. Some teams with really excellent goaltending or really high-end talent might be a little bit above 100, but in general, you're going to be right around 100. So what PDO functionally measures is luck. If you're a team that's getting a PDO of 105, no team has a sustainable PDO of 105. So the Avalanche had something like a PDO of 105.3 in 504 situations this year. So when they pulled the goalie or when they were on the power play, they were getting lucky, basically. I think it's a really useful way to just look at whether trends are sustainable or not. That's my favorite fancy stat. Other people?
I like Corsi because I like Jim Corsi, who is our goaltending coach. I'm not a big fancy stat person.
That's a good reason.
I like quality of competition versus the possession stats.
Yeah, Paul comp charts are really useful to read.
Yep.
Definitely a good one.
I'm a Leafs fan, so do I have to answer this?
Well, maybe you could answer why the Leafs hate fancy stats.
How many goals?
Because I don't know. It's like there's some things I just don't know the answer to, like why Randy Carlisle still coach. So I mean, I will never know. I mean, aren't they the ones who developed the plus minus system?
Yes.
Wasn't it the Leafs? So I mean, it's just like I don't know. For a hockey-loving town, we sure do love to pick and choose.
In terms of advanced stats on our hockey, it is frustrating, actually, pretty often when you use advanced stats in comments to get a lot of pushback on it. And the reason was suggested the other night was that people don't understand. And I think that's pretty reasonable, that when you just toss out, like, IPP or something like that, Corsi's pretty recognizable now. But if you just toss out a random fancy stat and people don't get it, they're like, you're just making up bullshit. But I think there's also some genuine resistance in all corners of the game to the use of statistics. And it's dumb as fuck, but c'est la vie.
Yeah.
And then the other part of the question was, if you guys can make up a fancy stat, what fancy stat would you make up? It's a tough question.
Best butt.
Would that be found mathematically?
Yes.
According to my mother, it would be.
Ratios.
She thinks Sidney Crosby. She loves Sidney Crosby. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but she loves him. And she was watching some interview where he was saying he had to buy special pants and everything because of the exercises and the strength you gain in your lower body, particularly your butt, makes it so regular pants really don't fit. She said something to the effect that his butt must be spectacular. And then when she saw him, when I took her to a Penguins game in December, and she basically said that. She said, "Oh, it is."
She's right.
So,
Your mother is a wise woman.
she would probably say it would be something like, you know, it would be relative like size, like circumference around in relation to length of thigh and length of leg in general, and length of torso. It would all have to be like, ratios.
I already sort of have. I think that's actually. I think we could really work out an equation there.
Okay.
Or I think you're onto something.
Yeah,
I will
like
ask my mom, see what she has to say.
angles and everything. Now to do
If
art.
yeah, we could do it. It's more an art than a science, really, in terms of having a great butt.
Or the amount it comes out, like from the base, the top of the thigh, and then above your lower back, and then the protrusions. How much it sticks out from like that linear to the maximum, the tip of the parabola, so to speak.
This is a beautiful conversation.
I love booty. Everyone loves booty.
I had sort of previously made up a stat. I don't know if one could call it fancy, but the official Brian Burke and Brendan Shanahan truculence meter, as defined by Ari, where you are measured on a scale from 0 to 1. So sort of like save percentage, percentage of truculence. I think the highest, it was named jointly after Brendan Burke and Brendan Shanahan. Shanahan having number 1 highest truculence. I gave Dave Boland, I think, like a 0.65. So it's a tough scale, but that's my favorite non-official advanced statistic. I would also really like a statistic to measure whether or not Dan Cherry is going to like a player. So, like, you take, the equation would be like how easy their name is to say, plus location based on proximity to Toronto, plus, like, number of hits per game. And that would be your Don Cherry suit memorial number.
That's interesting.
That I think we could also come up with very easily.
I need an advanced stat that tells me how many times I'm gonna go. And what the fuck was that to my team and my defense? Just start keeping track.
Can we also have a stat how long it takes for someone out the media to say Bruins are goons? It's like that stat.
But if the answer is just 0 times.
Any hit, after any hit, regardless of it being dirty or not, the comments for Bruins are goons are going to come out.
To be fair, you just told me that your team isn't a skill team.
We are skilled, but we're not like, I don't know. Never mind. I don't know anything anymore.
Yeah, I think actually, I think that a stat to measure how long into a game you're going to go, oh, what the fuck, would be a really great stat.
It would be useful for calculating how much alcohol I need to deal with my team.
How much alcohol has Kane drank before the game?
Josh did ask what Patrick Kane did for the 4th of July, and I skillfully avoided that question.
I did not see him.
What did he do for the 4th of July? A bunch of 5s. Here we go.
Patrick Kane loves me.
All right, so now we're getting a little close on time. So in order to wrap up, first of all, for the rest of the night, tweet me your recommendations for what Aisha's name should be on Twitter. I'll pick one tomorrow morning. Second of all, we talked on a previous podcast about telling terrible date stories, like funny ones, not that fun. So I think we're really going to quickly, who has a story? I know Aisha has one, I have one. Cora, Cassie, do either of you have funny ones?
I'd have to think of one. I have a funny one, but it's also kind of sad, but yeah, I can tell it.
All right, well, let's start with Aisha, and then we'll do Cassie, and then Cora, if you have one, we'll do you, and then we'll finish off with me.
Okay, so if anyone who follows me on Twitter has seen me rant about after what happened at this date. So a few weekends back, I decided to go on a date from someone I met off Coffee Meets Bagel, which is some weird dating site that I tried for once. And so I go to Lincoln Park Zoo, which is a free zoo in Chicago, and this guy brought his bike. I don't mind people bringing their bikes anywhere, but he didn't bring a lock with him. No bike lock or anything. So throughout the zoo, he was carrying his bike awkwardly and bumping into people. And it's on a Saturday afternoon. There's a bunch of kids and everything, and he's running over these kids. Throughout the day, he would not shut up. All he did was like do racial stereotypes and jokes and just be really awkward and immature and laugh at the word butt a lot. And then afterwards, we went to get hot dogs, and in the middle of the restaurant, the Germany game was going on, and he said the goalkeeper for Germany looks like a Hitler Youth, and then he goes and does the Hail Hitler sign with the hand and everything loudly. So everyone in the restaurant is staring at us because he's doing Hail Hitler. I quickly paid for my food and left.
That's awkward as all hell. All right, so my story is going to be kind of incriminating and sad. I was raped when I was a teenager, and at the time I was in a relationship with a guy, and I was with him for 4 years, and we're actually still really good friends. When he found out, he took his massive, old, beat-up truck that wouldn't die for nothing, found the guy's Camaro. Oops. The Camaro was now broken and got ran over by a giant fucking truck.
Oh my god! Oh my god.
So, oops. Yeah, so that's my funny story, because he pretty much was pissed off, so he took his car that would not die. It's a piece of junk. You know, it's one of those, you get it when you're 15 and 16, and you're like, oh, well, it's, it moves, and he took it, and he drove into the Camaro repeatedly, and then left.
Wow. That's a hell of a story.
He never got caught. I didn't use names, so they're not going to be able to find him now.
Huh.
But that was, yeah, he left the hospital after he found out and went and found the car. So that is my funny story, and I still love the guy to death. I'm the godmother to his son, so sticks with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Cora?
Okay. Well, I won't even actually really get into true date stories because, oh man. But I'll just put it this way: like, I am known for certain things, and the second part of my Twitter handle is known for a nickname that I got when I was 15. So just leave it at that. But also, I'm also quite oblivious to a lot of things that's happened to me. So one time I was out with my friends, and we went to this club. So this technically isn't a date, but it's bad enough that I would make it so it's awkward. And they were talking, and I was forced to go out. I didn't feel that great. So we're in this downtown, or in a place where it's downtown, like basement type club, and you can't hear anything. And I was sitting at the edge of the little couch, and I couldn't understand what this guy was saying because of his accent and language issues. So he just kept on talking. So I just went like the stereotypical, yeah, okay. So they all got up to dance, and I followed, and so he figured that, I guess I said, okay, yes, because I didn't understand what he was saying. Problem with electronic music. And so he took this as an invitation to get up and dance with me, which totally took me by surprise. So he kind of grabbed me, and I was totally taken aback that I turned around, and he full-on kissed me. Wow. In the middle of, like, the dance floor, and it really was like, I went like, no. I think I made him feel really bad, but I was like, he kept talking to me for like 30 minutes, and I kind of went like, and I was trying to listen to my friends, but I guess he figured that I was like into him or something. This was like when I was 21, so it was like, what, 4 years ago? I still feel kind of bad because he did look generally put off, but it was really awkward. So guys, don't do that.
Yeah. I actually have a similar story to that, but I'm not going to tell it because I have a really great bad date story.
All right.
All right. I think I already told Cassie this. I don't know about Cora. Actually, I don't think you were there. After a previous podcast. Anyway, so I was 17. I spent the summer in New York by myself on a sort of exchange program. And I was supposed to go to a concert one night, and the concert got canceled because it was raining, but I was talking to another guy who was supposed to go to the concert as well. We will call him Roberto for the purposes of anonymity. He was from Puerto Rico, and very cute. So he was like, hey, do you want to go do something on Friday night? And I was like, sure, why not? I'm in New York, like I'm 17, I'm here by myself, like let's do this. You can kind of imagine. So we decided we were going to go to see the New York Poets Cafe, which is one of the homes of slam poetry in the United States, and it's just an awesome, incredible venue. We met there, and the first part of the date was great, just awesome. The New York Poets Cafe, if you're ever in New York, is incredible. The poets are unbelievable. You will clap until your hands hurt, and snap until your fingertips hurt. So then we were on the way home. We got on the subway, and New York Poets Cafe is all the way down in Alphabet City. So like the very, very end of Manhattan. And if you don't know, Columbia is basically at the edge of Harlem, Morningside Heights, the other end of Manhattan. So we've got like a 35, 40-minute subway ride ahead of us on the express train. So we sit down and we start talking. And I don't remember how we got there, but somewhere along the way he goes, yeah, I do believe in conspiracy theories. Oh, do you? Like, yeah, don't you? Well, not really. I'm really interested in history, so I generally think things can be explained. And he's like, oh, well, I definitely believe that, like, JFK was assassinated by the CIA. And I'm like, well, that is a theory. It's not impossible. And he goes on, he has a couple UFO theories. He explains to me his theory about the fact that he prayed to a water sprite and saved his house from a hurricane in Costa Rica.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, I've never done that. And he's like, well, you probably don't have hurricanes in Minnesota. And I'm like, no, that's true. We have tornadoes, but I've never prayed to any wind sprites. And he's like, well, if you want, before you, like, tonight, I can pray for you for your house. And I was like, okay. So then he goes, I also have a conspiracy theory about 9/11. And I go, oh, no. Keep in mind, we're on the New York subway, so crowded subway car, it's like 11 o'clock at night. It's not that late for a Friday in New York. He goes, yeah, I think 9/11 was a government conspiracy. You what? The entire subway car goes quiet. So now everyone's listening to us talk. And I'm like, well, I really don't think that's true. And he goes, I don't remember what the explanation was, but it was something along the lines of, like, why would the response be so bad? Like, NYPD fucked up. The U.S. government fucked up. It was definitely planned. And I'm sitting there going, we're going to get shot. We're going to get shot. I die here. We're going to get shot.
Oh, my God.
So we arrive at the stop. We get off at Columbia. It's like 113th or something like that. And we're waiting, they're pulling up to the stop, and we're going to go separate ways when we get out of the station. And he goes, Ari, I had a really great time tonight. I think you're so cool. Like, you should give me your number. And I go, I don't think it's going to work. No thanks. And the subway car starts clapping. Genuine applause. And I have never in my entire life been so embarrassed, and that was the worst date I've ever been on.
That's that. Yeah, mine was just funny, but
I've never met a conspirator in real life.
I
don't know
have.
how I'd handle that.
I've gone on dates with one of them.
Yeah, I was
I'd
kind of
probably
rolling with it
feel
okay
serious.
until we got to 9/11.
I've gone on dates with weirdos. I regret it.
yeah, I haven't done much dating, thankfully.
I don't
But
date anymore,
yeah,
so
I've
I've
no other.
eliminated that from my life. But yeah.
my boyfriend and I go on dates, but that's about it.
Well, that's pretty much the best case scenario, frankly.
Yeah.
Well, you've dated for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
4 years.
What was the worst date then?
For us,
Yeah.
well, I could tell you the most awkward one. Him and I met through a game we both play, and when I first moved, he paid to fly me up to Minnesota to meet him, and when I first moved up here, or, first landed and I saw him, my first reaction was, God, he's so short. So yes, but he's the same height as me. The other thing is, before we started talking and actually getting to know each other, I thought he was a girl.
Oh God.
His character he was talking to me on initially in the game was a female character, so I had assumed it was a female I was talking to. No, definitely not a female. So, yeah. But every other date's pretty good.
On that note, a positive note we
Yes.
ended on with good dates being good. We should probably wrap it up. We're getting, I think we're at an hour.
Yes.
So that last segment was your get to know the panelists of Puckin Awesome segment. I hope you enjoyed it. We're all, I think, pretty interesting people with some pretty good stories, so maybe we'll do another one next week. On that note, we should sign off. So check out...
You want me to do that?
Yeah, you do it.
All right, so you can check out this episode and all the other episodes on ourhockeycast.com, as well as the subreddit that's r/ourhockeycast. You can also check out it on our YouTube video or our YouTube channel, which will be linked after we're done. And tonight you can check out the after hour, which will start in about an hour or so, depending on when they get stuff together. So there's that. Yes.
This is Aisha, the bird fan. But yeah, you can check me out at Twerk for Twerk. And, yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Also, wait. Also, please send Ari suggestions for my Twitter name. We only have gotten one suggestion. I want more options.
Cora?
Yeah, I'm Cora. Thorzo. And Velociraptor is my Twitter handle. If you feel so inclined.
Yes.
I'm Ari. Oh. Okay, so I'm Ari _Rage, Blackhawks fan, and I want to thank Cassie for being the brains of the operation right there.
Yes.
And please don't treat me with more trade proposals for Kane and Taves. No more. I'm done. I'm blocking all of you.
You blocked me.
All right, and
shipping Kane to Buffalo.
And I'm Cassie, Abstract Halo on both Reddit and Twitter. So we will catch you guys next week. Night.
Peace out.